Tupac has passed away. You know, what's your guys' recovery process from all this?
Wow.
You know, what changed?
A lot changed, you know. I believe that it hit home for everybody. Everybody got kind of scared, you know what I mean? Because we were touched like that. To think that death row was so untouchable, and you know, Pac is gone, and that was a piece of the puzzle. When that part of the puzzle started falling apart, a lot of the artists, you know, we went to the Bahamas and started recording a record, and Suge was subpoenaed to come back to the States, you know, for the fight that happened at the hotel, and he was locked up. So that was the beginning of the demise of death row.
When he passed away, did it feel like this is it, or did it feel like you guys were gonna, you know, be able to still recover? Or?
Well, I mean, you know, in my mind, I felt we were gonna recover because, you know, they were cutting records and stuff before Pac had came. You know, there was a lot of great artists that was still there, but again, the losing him, I think for everybody, it hit home. Like, you know what I mean? Whether you were, you know, there was times I was jealous of Pac because so much was attention. I was used to getting the attention that he was getting, and so much attention was on him. You know what I mean? So I know people were jealous, but I think all of those things were at ease after we seen that he had died. Like, you know, it was really real. You know, he dead. He's gone. He won't be here any longer. And I think that kind of like it had this cloud over death row for a long time.
So after Pac passed away, Suge goes to jail, and Michel'le starts running things.
Yeah.
And starts handling Suge's business.
She started doing stuff. She never handled business when she did it.
Okay.
She never handled business. She started destroying business. That's what she did.
What were some of the things that happened?
I mean, you know, she cut people off that should have been paid. She destroyed lives. You know what I mean? A lot of people depended on the checks that Suge was given, that they had worked for, but he was still giving them checks. And I mean, she made sure you didn't get those checks. She made sure your cars got repoed.
So everybody's cars got repoed.
She made sure that, you know, if she did give you a check, the right signature wasn't on it, or it was upside down, it wouldn't be accepted. The stamp would be upside down, it wasn't accepted. For me, what she done to me personally, Michel'le, if you'd like to know, I wrote Suge to get off of death row, to be released as an artist because nothing was happening for me and I lost everything. This is when I started learning about royalties, and I wanted an account statement. Michel'le sent me account ledgers, and in these ledgers read things like all the gifts that Suge had given me. It was listed, like birthday gift, jewelry, da-da-da-da-da, hamburger, da-da-da-da-da, tires for car, da-da-da, clothes for car. And when I got to the third page, it was my mother's funeral expense. And it was highlighted. So the bitch knew what she was doing when she did that. You know, it's like somebody that you're close to bringing a pie to you when your mother passed. You know how people give food as a sign of sympathy. And then when you get mad, you know, you say, I need my pie back. So she gave me this ledger with my mother's funeral expense, and this ledger was basically saying that I owed Suge for my mother's funeral. And that hurt because I remember times when Michel'le was a drunk and I put her nasty ass in the tub to help her get clean. I don't know if she remembered because she was so drunk at the time, but I remember pulling her out of the tub and Suge putting her in the condo and her going to sleep upstairs and us making sure that she was safe. And I would never say these type of things because when I did these things, she reminded me of a family member. She reminded me I'd done it before. I got aunts or some uncles or some sisters that was alcoholics, so I knew how to deal with her, and I dealt with her out of brotherhood or familyhood, and she dealt with me out of shit and spite, and you know, it really hurt me to know, you know, regardless of me being cut off from the things that I had, she had to make sure that I was cut off because I was being trained to run death row. There is no question about it. and she had to make sure that that didn't happen. And to get, receipts for your mother's funeral, that's something, especially since she doesn't have enough nerve to ask for forgiveness from not just myself, but from the other people that she affected on death row. And then for her to come out with a movie to act like, oh, little me, I've been da-da-da-da-da, they hurt me and da-da-da-da. No, you were a bitch and a whore, and you were treated as such. And a lot of people were upset with me because I spoke the truth, but please forgive me for being disrespectful. I don't disrespect women. I come from a woman. I have sisters, I have a daughter. But if you was in my shoes, I don't think that there isn't any other way to speak of her until she deserved that from me. And there were times that I was put out of studios. I would go to a studio and she would have security put me out the studio.
Security? Put you out of the studio?
Security that was once my security that worked detail for me would tell me that I had to leave the premises because Michel'le can't concentrate in the building. The bitch still couldn't sing better when I wasn't in the building. But to treat me like that, you know what I mean? And to cut me off and to take my car and all kinds of stuff that she did.
What would she do when you seen her? Would she say anything to you?
I've never seen her. Like, she would make sure I didn't see her. No, I hadn't seen her since. I haven't seen her since. I seen her a few times up there visiting Suge, and I don't put all the blame on her because Suge's a piece of shit too. He knew what she was doing. Some of those things she had him do. That's how his evil ass got out at the time. So I don't just blame her. Both of them was a piece of shit at that time. I forgive him because I know he's not strong enough to ask for forgiveness. He's weak when it comes to that. But to call me and to be able to converse with me, I know that he wished that he could. As far as her, I haven't seen her since, and I pray to leave it that way because I don't want to see her. Like, you know what I mean? Because she came out in this movie. I don't know what happened to her before I got to death row. What Dr. Dre did to her. I don't agree with any type of woman abuse, any type of violence or anything like that. But as far as when it comes to her, fuck her. I have nothing nice to say about her. Fuck her and fuck whoever don't like what I'm saying. I'm in Las Vegas. I'm real close.
Is that the main thing that was different? How was the vibe different?
Yeah,
with Death
it was
Row?
different. I mean, because Suge was spoiling people. Now he's in jail, and I don't know what their allowance is in jail, but now you got somebody, living off of $200 a week that was used to spending $100,000 a week. So he became more selfish. He became more tight-handed. I believe that he felt like if he could live off of the $200 allowance or whatever allowance they was giving him, you could live off of what if I give you something. Y'all could live too. He became bitter when he got locked up. And people started spreading more lies too.
So did you end up back in Chicago?
Yeah, I did. Homeless. While my music was playing on TV. With a little money left. And
That must have been rough. You're
was
seeing
it rough? Yeah. I'm
hits
Yeah.
on
hits
the
that I wrote
TV.
on. Hits that I wrote.
And you're not getting anything
And
for
the
them.
only thing that I have is the money that my baby mama, thank you God, that she was putting up, or some money that we may have saved up, but no more than $10,000. And that's broke from what I was used to. I'm sleeping on people's couches, people that I've paid their bills in the past. Now I'm sleeping on their couch and they treat me like a stranger because it ain't on no more. So it was definitely a change for me. Then I had to begin working a 9 to 5 or whatever the hell it was. I worked in the nightclub. I started painting. I started embalming bodies. I worked for a funeral home. I worked at the examiner's office. I mean, I've done a lot of jobs just to make it by while being on television.
What was on Tupac's mind about his case? What was he? I heard he was really worried about going back to jail.
Nah, man. You wasn't going to jail with David Kenner. Snoop Dogg murdered somebody. Snoop and his security murdered somebody. Broad daylight.
Were you on death row when that happened?
Yeah, I was in court when he got freed. Murder was the case. That shit was real.
What was that time like in death row?
Shit,
man?
to see somebody see all that on the news that a dude got killed and we're going back and forth to court and Snoop Dogg is acquitted and walk out and never spent a day in jail. That's power. A lot of power. That's enough power for Snoop to love Suge forever. I mean, you know, power and money. There's a lot of people that's in jail. You don't get. Look at Suge.
So you
Suge's
think
in jail for manslaughter. He got more time than Snoop did. Snoop and them killed somebody, first degree murder, and
So-
didn't spend no time in jail.
who all was charged with that? Was it just Snoop
It
and
was
the
Snoop and
bodyguard?
his security and his bodyguard.
Just the two? Mm-hmm. Did you guys party?
Hell yeah.
What was
Man,
that
it
party like?
We went to Monty's Steakhouse, man, and to partied and celebrated, you know, him being free. Everybody was happy. I mean, you know, nobody wanted to see him. I didn't hang around Snoop or didn't really know him personally like that. We only had the working relationship, the death row working relationship. But anytime something went down with death row or anybody that's affiliated, we represented well. And again, that was a great accomplishment for David Kenner to make sure that Snoop didn't spend the rest of his life in jail.
And I was a kid, but yeah, I was like, you know, first degree murder, and you know, from the outside it was kind of hard to know. It's not like the internet is today.
Right, exactly.
You know,
it was first degree murder. He was on his way in.
Did you notice any change in Snoop? Was there any change in death row?
Nah, I didn't notice anything because again, like I didn't hang around those dudes, and
Yeah.
none of them never really been too friendly to me.